Out of nowhere, a bizarre notice popped up in our building's WhatsApp group chat. Hey everyone, we didn't pay our internet bill this month because we don't want our baby getting addicted to screens. However, we occasionally need it for work and entertainment. Therefore, we expect our neighbors to share their connection. Our online hours will be from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. daily. During this time, please do not use your own Wi-Fi so we can enjoy maximum speed. I will be adding the neighbors on our floor. Please accept my request immediately and send over your password. The message was sent by the tenants in apartment 9A. I lived in apartment 9C. A second later, a friend request popped up on my phone. I swiped decline without hesitating and replied in the group. Did God run out of skin when he was making your face? Or did he just double layer your audacity? You've got some nerve. Within minutes, my doorbell rang like crazy. Through the security camera, I saw a man and a woman standing there looking ready to start a riot. The woman had her hands on her hips, practically screaming at the camera. Open up. What the hell is your problem? Hurry up. My husband has a document to edit, and you're the only one on this floor who isn't asleep. Wow, a match made in heaven. Two complete lunatics. I tapped the intercom and let out a sarcastic drawl. Hey, why don't you guys just come on in? I can slice up some fresh fruit, brew a nice pot of tea, turn on the AC, and let him work on my couch. Would you like a foot massage with that too? The husband, looking clueless, beamed and whispered to his wife, Wait, seriously? That actually sounds awesome. The wife was slightly smarter. She smacked him hard on the back of his head. Are you an idiot? She's being sarcastic. She turned back to my door and started pounding on it again. Come on, just give us the Wi-Fi password. He has to finish editing by 11 o'clock RPM, so he can get his 8 hours of sleep. If he doesn't, it's bad for his immune system. Their sheer unadulterated entitlement actually made me laugh. While pulling up my phone to text the local police dispatch, I kept them talking through the intercom. Fine, get your phone ready. In the camera monitor, I saw the husband eagerly pull out his phone, navigating to the Wi-Fi settings. The password is 9idiots. The husband tapped his screen 6 times, frowned, and muttered, Wait, it says incorrect password. His wife smacked him again. She's calling us idiots, you dumbass. The internet was right. A lot of people are functionally brain dead, but because they can feed themselves, society treats them like normal citizens. These two were prime examples. The woman wouldn't give up, continuing to rattle my doorknob. I didn't get it. Why was her husband's job my responsibility? Was his salary going into my bank account? Just then, heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway. The police had arrived. The woman spun around, looking at the officers like they were her personal saviors. Oh, thank goodness, officers, you're finally here. The officer blinked, confused. Did you call us? I threw open my door. No, I did. I laid out the entire story, adding just enough dramatic flair to make them look as ridiculous as possible. The two officers and the building security guard who followed them up stood there in stunned silence. But Brenda, the wife, immediately put on a victim act. Officers, we're neighbors. What's wrong with helping each other out? Not only is she cold-hearted, but she also insulted us. I'm pretty sure verbal harassment is a crime. You should arrest her. The officer looked like he was physically restraining himself from rolling his eyes. He said sternly, Ma'am, it's 10 o'clock at night. Banging on doors and screaming in the hallway is disturbing the peace. As for the internet, she has absolutely no obligation to share her private network with you. I suggest you call a provider and set up your own service tomorrow. Then he turned to me with a tired sigh. Look, miss, just to resolve this for tonight so everyone can get some sleep. Would you mind letting them use it just this once? You can change your password first thing tomorrow morning. I didn't want to, but I didn't want to make things difficult for the cops either. I reluctantly rattled off a temporary password. And you too, the officer warned the couple, do not knock on her door again. Once the police and the guard left, I slammed my door shut and locked it. Through the thin walls, I could faintly hear Brenda giggling. Yay, hurry up and do your work, babe. I'm going to stream that show I missed earlier. Streaming at the office during lunch just wasn't the same. Her husband, Greg, mumbled something about keeping the volume down, so it wouldn't be too noisy. Brenda clearly ignored him. 5 minutes later, my router app notified me that 4 new devices had connected. 2 iPhones, a smart TV, and a MacBook. A wicked idea popped into my head. I opened my casting app, synced up to their smart TV, and cast a terrifying jump scare clip from a horror movie at maximum volume. I let it play for 3 seconds, cut the feed, and repeated it. A muffled, blood-curdling shriek echoed from apartment 9A. Satisfied, I changed my Wi-Fi password to something entirely different, and went to bed with a huge smile on my face. The next morning, I ran into Maya, the tenant from apartment 9B, right outside the elevator. She was about my age. When our eyes met, she immediately asked, "Hey, did that crazy couple try to add you on WhatsApp too?" I gave her a solemn, heavy nod. She gave me a look of pure sympathy. It was clear she hadn't been spared either. Maya introduced herself and explained she worked rotating shifts at a local hospital. She had been on the night shift last night, which was the only reason she had escaped the initial drama. "My friend is a teacher at the elementary school down the street," Maya whispered, leaning in. "She actually has their kid in her class. Apparently those parents are a teacher's absolute worst nightmare." She pulled out her phone and showed me a few leaked screenshots from the parent-teacher portal. The husband was Greg Thompson, the wife was Brenda, and their kid was named Braxton Hunter. Yes, double-barreled and incredibly pretentious. The messages Brenda sent to the teacher were gold. "Miss Kelly, Braxton Hunter's pee was a bit dark when he got home today. Please personally monitor his water intake during recess." Attached was a high-resolution photo of a child's toilet bowl. "Miss Kelly, why does Braxton Hunter's textbook have a bent page? Did you not inspect it before handing it out? This feels like a targeted microaggression against my son. Miss Kelly, Braxton Hunter doesn't like cooked onions. Please instruct the school cafeteria to swap out onions for garlic when preparing his lunch." My skin crawled just reading them. Since the Thompsons had just moved in, our peaceful hallway was officially a war zone. While we were whispering, a sharp nasal voice cut through the air. "Hey 9C, did you do that on purpose last night?" It was the dark urine mom herself, Brenda. "So what if I did?" I rolled my eyes. Her face contorted in rage for a second before she snapped her head toward Maya. "And you 9B, why haven't you accepted my request? Send me your Wi-Fi password. I heard you work nights, so you're not even using your internet then anyway. It's just going to waste." Maya didn't hold back. "Well, your apartment is empty during the day, right? I need a place to sleep after my shift. Why don't you let me sleep in your bed? Otherwise, it's just going to waste." Brenda's eyes popped. "Look at you two. Not a single ounce of ladylike grace. Spitting venom like that. You both look so thin and sickly anyway. No wonder you don't have the blessing of raising a strong son." I slapped my hands on my hips. "Wow, did you gargle with sewage this morning? Or is that just your natural breath?" Just then, Braxton Hunter waddled out of their apartment. He was exactly what I expected. A round, greasy kid holding a half-eaten hot dog. After a few steps, he dropped it right onto the dusty carpet of the hallway. Brenda rushed over, picked up the fuzzy hot dog, blew on it twice, and shoved it right back into her son's mouth. Maya and I stared absolutely horrified. Fortunately, Brenda was running late to drop her golden boy off at school, so she couldn't linger. As the elevator doors closed, Maya turned to me. "So what do we do?" "She's definitely going to come back for the password. We can't keep doing this forever. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it." I sighed. That bridge arrived much sooner than expected. That very evening, Brenda knocked again. This time, she wasn't asking for the Wi-Fi password. She wanted my door lock code. She claimed they had relatives visiting from out of state, and their apartment was too crowded. She wanted Maya and me to share our apartments. "It's simple," Brenda said, her tone incredibly generous. "Since you work during the day, my relatives can stay at your place. And since Maya works at night, they can sleep at her place. We aren't asking for free either. We'll pay you $20 a day. 20 whole dollars. Wow. How would I ever spend such a fortune? Get lost before I call the cops again," I said coldly. But Brenda chose to play dirty. "If you won't let them stay, I'll just have them set up air mattresses right here in the hallway. Don't complain when they're blocking your door." To prove her point, she immediately dragged out several trash bags, dirty laundry hampers, and a plastic bucket, placing them right outside my doorway. She was declared war. If she wanted to bring guests, I could play that game too. Coincidentally, my mom had called me earlier crying about my grandma. Ever since my grandfather passed away, my notoriously hot-tempered grandma had been living with my parents. The mother-in-law tension was through the roof. I dialed my mom back immediately. Mom, pack Grandma's bags. Send her to Chicago. She's 75 and she is ready to rumble. My grandma Evelyn was a force of nature. In our family we called her Grandma on demon mode. 3 days later, Grandma Evelyn arrived carrying 2 suitcases, a floral handbag, and enough rage to power a small city. The second she stepped into the hallway, she narrowed her eyes at the pile of trash Brenda had left outside my door. Who died? Grandma asked flatly. Nobody. He sighed. Those belong to the neighbors. Grandma slowly turned toward apartment 9A like a shark smelling blood in the water. Oh, she said. So they're stupid. I knew right then Brenda had made a catastrophic mistake. The next morning at exactly 6 a.m., Grandma Evelyn began her counterattack. First came the church hymns. At full volume. On a portable radio from approximately the Truman administration. The walls practically vibrated with old-time gospel music while Grandma cooked bacon in my kitchen and yelled things like, "Praise the Lord and pass the butter." At 6:12, Brenda burst into the hallway wearing a silk bonnet and unmatched pajama pants. What is this noise? Grandma opened the door before I could stop her. And who are you supposed to be? Grandma barked. Brenda blinked. I live across the hall. Grandma looked her up and down slowly. You look swollen. I nearly choked on my coffee. Brenda sputtered furiously. Excuse me. Grandma leaned against the doorframe. You heard me. You look like you eat mayonnaise with a serving spoon. Brenda's face turned purple. Before she could fire back, Braxton Hunter appeared behind her holding a melted popsicle. He immediately wiped his sticky hand on our wall. Grandma gasped like she'd witnessed a federal crime. Oh, absolutely not. She marched over, grabbed a disinfectant wipe from her pocket like she'd been preparing for this moment her entire life, and scrubbed the wall. Aggressively while glaring at Brenda. You letting him grow up feral on purpose? Brenda opened and closed her mouth soundlessly. Greg appeared next, still half asleep. Hey babe, what's happening? Grandma pointed at him. And this one's the husband? Lord, he stands like an uncooked spaghetti noodle. Maya, who had stepped out for work, physically turned around to hide her laughter. From that point on, Grandma declared herself the self-appointed ruler of the hallway. Every single time Brenda left trash outside our doors, Grandma moved it directly in front of 9A. When Greg tried quietly asking Maya for her Wi-Fi password again, Grandma suddenly appeared behind him and shouted, "Get a job with benefits." When Brenda's relatives finally arrived with giant suitcases and started inflating air mattresses in the hallway, Grandma walked out holding gardening scissors. Oh good, she said cheerfully. Free balloons. 3 loud pops echoed through the building. The relatives scrambled up screaming while Grandma stood there smiling sweetly with the scissors behind her back. Brenda lost her mind. You can't do that. Grandma shrugged. And yet somehow I just did. The screaming match escalated so badly that building management finally got involved. Apparently multiple tenants had already filed complaints against the Thompsons. The noise. The hallway clutter. Brenda demanding passwords. Braxton Hunter smearing ketchup on the elevator buttons. Greg trying to plug a power strip into the hallway outlet to save electricity. The property manager looked exhausted. Then Grandma delivered the final blow. She pulled out her phone and calmly played a recording she'd secretly captured 2 nights earlier. Brenda's voice blasted through the speaker. If these idiots don't share their stuff willingly, we'll just keep making life miserable until they give in. Silence. Absolute silence. The manager's expression changed instantly. 2 weeks later, apartment 9A was gone. Evicted. Apparently the Thompsons had violated nearly every clause in their lease agreement. On moving day, Brenda stood in the hallway furious while movers carried out their furniture. This building is toxic, she snapped. Grandma sipped iced tea beside me. No, she corrected calmly. The building was fine until you parasites moved in. Greg lowered his head and kept carrying boxes. Even Braxton Hunter looked defeated, sadly holding a crushed hot dog bun. As the elevator doors finally closed on the Thompson family, the entire hallway went silent. Then every apartment door on the floor slowly opened. One by one, neighbors stepped out clapping. Maya nearly cried laughing. And Grandma Evelyn? She just adjusted her cardigan proudly and said, "Anybody else in this building acting foolish? Or can I go take my nap now?" 2 weeks later, apartment 9A still hadn't been evicted. Turns out people like Brenda never leave quietly. They spread like mold. After the property manager confronted them with Grandma's recording, Brenda immediately exploded into full victim mode. "This building is discriminating against families." Greg stood beside her nodding like a malfunctioning Roomba. Braxton Hunter was licking the lobby handrail. The manager tried explaining the lease violations calmly, but Brenda interrupted every 5 seconds. "So single people can blast horror movies through TVs and traumatize children. But we're the problem?" Grandma Evelyn folded her arms. "Your child ate carpet hot dogs. The trauma already happened. That should have ended it. It didn't." The next morning, someone smeared peanut butter all over my doorknob. Maya found her food delivery dumped upside down in the stairwell. Then at 2 a.m., Brenda started banging pots together inside her apartment while loudly vacuuming the ceiling. It was war. And the worst part? The Thompsons somehow thought they were winning. A few days later, I came home from work and immediately froze. A handwritten sign was taped to my door. 9C is a community Wi-Fi thief. Underneath, someone had drawn devil horns on my security camera. Maya stepped out of her apartment looking horrified. "They've been telling everyone in the building you hacked their bank accounts." I blinked slowly. The people begging for free Wi-Fi think I'm the cybercriminal? Apparently Greg watched 2 documentaries about hackers, and now thinks anyone with a router app works for the FBI. Honestly, that tracked. Things escalated even further when Brenda discovered Grandma Evelyn had been moving the hallway trash back to their door. One afternoon, Brenda completely snapped. I was unlocking my apartment when I heard screaming echo through the hallway. "You wrinkled old witch." I turned to see Brenda charging toward Grandma, holding one of those cheap plastic laundry baskets, like she was preparing for medieval combat. Grandma didn't even flinch. She just narrowed her eyes. "Oh good," she said calmly. "Cardio." Brenda swung the basket. Grandma sidestepped with shocking speed for a 75-year-old woman, and stuck out one foot. Brenda tripped instantly. The laundry basket flew into the air. A pair of leopard print underwear landed directly on Greg's face. Maya collapsed against the wall wheezing with laughter. Brenda screeched from the floor. "She assaulted me." Grandma looked down at her. "Gravity assaulted you. I merely introduced you." That incident should have gotten them kicked out immediately. Instead, Brenda called the police again herself. Big mistake. Because while she was screaming about elderly abuse, the officers noticed something interesting sitting behind Greg in the apartment. 3 different routers. All plugged into extension cords running into the hallway ceiling. One officer frowned. "Why do you have signal boosters attached to building wiring?" Greg immediately started sweating. Turns out genius Greg had been trying to steal internet from multiple floors at once. Not only was it illegal, but he'd apparently overloaded part of the building's electrical system, trying to power his Frankenstein Wi-Fi setup. The officer's expression changed fast. The property manager looked seconds away from a stroke. But somehow Brenda still kept going. "This is harassment. You're targeting us because we're parents." Meanwhile Braxton Hunter was in the background drawing on the wall, with what looked horrifyingly like lipstick. The final straw came 3 nights later. At around midnight, the fire alarm suddenly exploded through the building. Everyone stumbled into the hallway panicking. Smoke poured from under apartment 9's door. People started yelling. Someone called 911. Then Greg burst out coughing dramatically carrying a flaming frying pan. "I was making homemade creme brulee." Grandma Evelyn stared at him. At midnight. Greg looked offended. That's when creativity strikes. Apparently Brenda had unplugged their refrigerator earlier to save electricity, which spoiled half their groceries. Instead of throwing the food away, Greg tried caramelizing something questionable with a blowtorch. Yes. A literal blowtorch. The firefighters arrived furious. The property manager looked spiritually defeated. And then the absolute finishing move happened. As firefighters ventilated the apartment, one of them suddenly yelled, "Why is there an extension cord running into the public hallway lighting?" Everyone slowly turned toward Greg. Greg whispered, "Oh boy." That was it. Not warnings. Not complaints. Not grandma's warfare. Electrical tampering and almost burning down the building finally did it. The eviction notice got slapped onto their door the very next morning. And Brenda? She completely lost her mind. She screamed in the hallway for almost an hour straight, accusing everyone of betrayal. At one point she pointed directly at Grandma Evelyn and shouted, "This old demon ruined our lives." Grandma took a slow sip of tea. "No, sweetheart," she replied. "You people ruined your own lives. I just brought snacks and watched." The actual downfall happened a month later. Because eviction wasn't enough for people like the Thompsons. They genuinely believed the universe owed them compensation for facing consequences. And somehow, unbelievably, things got even worse after they moved out. One evening Maya burst into my apartment barely able to breathe from laughing. "You are never going to believe this." She shoved her phone into my face. It was a public Facebook post from Brenda. Of course it was public. People like Brenda always think they're the heroes of the story. The post was 6 full paragraphs long, titled, "How My Family Was Illegally Forced Out by Toxic Child-Hating Elites." She blamed the building, the police, the firefighters, me, Maya, Grandma Evelyn. At one point she referred to Grandma as a geriatric crime lord. But buried deep inside Brenda's meltdown was one tiny little mistake. She accidentally included photos. Photos of Greg's homemade internet optimization setup. The illegal routers. The hallway wiring. The extension cords. The scorched outlet. Everything. Maya and I stared at each other. Then immediately sent the screenshots to the property manager. Turns out the building owner's insurance company had already been investigating the fire hazard from Greg's midnight creme brulee disaster. Those photos were exactly what they needed. A week later, the Thompsons got hit with a lawsuit for property damage, electrical tampering, safety violations, and the emergency response costs from the fire department call. And because life has a beautiful sense of humor, Greg's employer found Brenda's viral Facebook rant too. Apparently companies don't love it when employees are publicly connected to illegal wiring and near-building fires. Especially when Greg worked remotely in IT. He got fired. Brenda somehow made things even worse trying to defend him online. She started replying to comments from random strangers for 16 straight hours. "You don't understand our struggle. This is what they do to families. The government hates natural parents." Nobody even knew what natural parents meant. The internet absolutely tore them apart. Then came the final catastrophic reveal. A parent from Braxton Hunter's school leaked even more screenshots from Brenda's messages to teachers. Not just annoying messages. Unhinged ones. Brenda had once demanded the school limit exposure to unattractive children, because she believed bad facial symmetry negatively affected Braxton Hunter's emotional development. Another message accused a substitute teacher of aggressive energy interference. The comments section became a bloodbath. Even people trying to support Brenda gave up. Meanwhile, Greg completely disappeared from social media. Then one day Maya texted me. They got evicted again. Apparently after leaving our building, the Thompsons moved into a cheaper apartment complex across town. Within 3 weeks, they got reported for trying to connect an extension cord to the shared laundry room electricity. Again. At that point it honestly felt less like entitlement, and more like a medical condition. The landlord there kicked them out almost immediately. Last we heard, Brenda moved in with her parents. Greg was doing freelance computer repair jobs online under the name Digital Wolf Solutions. And Braxton Hunter? Apparently he got suspended from school for licking glue sticks and calling classmates low-value peasants. So honestly, he was right on schedule. As for our hallway, peace returned instantly. Maya brought cupcakes to celebrate. The neighbors actually introduced themselves properly for the first time. And Grandma Evelyn became an absolute legend in the building. The old lady downstairs started calling her the hallway avenger. Maintenance workers saluted her. Someone anonymously left a tiny toy crown outside our door with a note that read, "For Queen Evelyn, destroyer of nonsense." Grandma kept it on my kitchen table proudly. Then one night while we were drinking tea, I asked her the question everyone secretly wanted answered. "Grandma, were you ever actually scared of Brenda?" Grandma snorted. "Please. I've survived 3 surgeries, 2 hurricanes, and your grandfather's gambling phase. That woman was just a loud pigeon." Then she took another sip of tea and added, "Besides, crazy people always defeat themselves eventually. All you gotta do is give them a little room and stay out of the blast radius." By the time the Thompsons hit their true ending, the entire building already knew better than to expect anything normal from them. Because Brenda didn't go out quietly. She went out like a disaster, insisting it was a protest. 2 days after the eviction notice was finalized, she refused to leave. Instead, she turned apartment 9A into what she called a temporary family embassy. Greg installed blinking LED lights in the window and declared it a signal of injustice. Braxton Hunter drew warning signs on the hallway walls in permanent marker that said, "No bad energy zone." And Brenda? Brenda started live streaming. From the balcony. At full volume. "This is what happens when a mother stands up for her rights," she screamed into her phone while Greg held it like an unpaid intern. Maya leaned over to me in the hallway. "Is she trying to become famous?" I nodded slowly. "Unfortunately, yes." Grandma Evelyn appeared behind us instantly. "Oh good," she said. "Public humiliation. My favorite sport." The building management tried to shut it down. That's when Greg made his final mistake. He wired the entire apartment complex hallway lighting into his independent power grid, so they wouldn't get disconnected by oppressive landlords. Instead, he accidentally cut power to half the floor, including elevators, including security cameras, including the internet node for the entire building. For one glorious, terrible hour, everything went dark. And Brenda took that moment to escalate into legend. She live-streamed by flashlight. "This is proof," she shouted. "They are silencing us." The chat, somehow, was already roasting her. Then came the twist nobody expected. The building's backup generator kicked in. And Greg's illegal wiring, still attached to it, flipped the system into overload. A deep mechanical hum echoed through the walls. Lights flickered. The hallway TV screens. No one knew why there were hallway TV screens. All turned on at once. And every single screen began broadcasting Brenda's live stream, building-wide. Not just inside the complex. Somehow, Greg had looped it into the external maintenance feed. So now, across every lobby screen, elevator panel, and security monitor in the building, Brenda was screaming, "This is a dictatorship of sharing Wi-Fi." Silence fell. Then slowly, doors opened across every floor. People started watching. Even the mailman stopped. Even the maintenance crew. Even someone walking their dog outside the entrance stared up at the glass lobby screen in confusion. Brenda froze mid-rant when she realized. "Oh," she whispered. "This is global." Greg, realizing what he'd done, tried to pull the plug. He unplugged the router, plugged it back in, then somehow managed to connect it to the fire alarm system. The fire alarms immediately erupted. Not because of smoke, but because Brenda's livestream audio had been piped into the emergency system at full volume. The entire building was now listening to Brenda scream about Wi-Fi oppression through emergency speakers. That was the moment the building collectively broke. Someone in the lobby yelled, "This is insane." Someone else started laughing. A third person began recording. And then Grandma Evelyn walked out into the center of the chaos, like she had been summoned by narrative instinct itself. She looked up at the speakers blasting Brenda's voice, looked at Greg frantically unplugging things that were clearly not meant to be unplugged, looked at Braxton drawing a crown on a fire extinguisher. Then she said very calmly, "So this is the downfall arc." And she reached over and pressed the emergency system reset button. Everything stopped. Instant silence. Brenda's live stream cut. The lights stabilized. The screens went black. For one perfect second, the entire building just stared at each other in quiet shock. Then the fire alarm system, now reset, played a cheerful automated message. Thank you for your cooperation. Please evacuate calmly. Nobody moved, because Brenda was still holding her phone, and she was still whispering, "They can't silence me." That was the final straw. The property owner didn't even wait for paperwork. Security arrived within the hour. Not to argue, not to negotiate, just to escort. Brenda tried to resist. Greg tried to explain. Braxton tried to unionize the security guards on the spot. It did not help. They were removed from the building like a glitch being patched out of reality. Outside, their van was waiting again. The same broken van. Now somehow uglier. As they were loaded in, Brenda turned one last time toward the building and screamed, "You'll regret this when I'm famous." From the window above, Grandma Evelyn waved politely. "I already regret the Wi-Fi era," she shouted back. The van doors slammed, and for the first time in months, the building went quiet. No screaming, no drilling, no live streams, just peace. Maya exhaled like she'd been underwater for a year. "Is it over?" Grandma Evelyn adjusted her cardigan. "Oh no," she said softly. "That was just their exit episode." Then she sipped her tea. "The real downfall is that nobody misses them."